Welcome back to the Flicks Forum podcast with Jesse and MJ. Each episode, we go back and look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. This is our 14th day of Podmas. We are killing December with an episode every day in the lead up to Christmas. Today, Netflix 60-second film. It's the 2018 dance comedy film Stepsisters, directed by Charles Stone III, Megalyn Ehikunwoke, Lyndon Smith, Sher, Marque Richardson, Matt McGorry, and Naturi Naughton.
You just named all the cast, but you didn't say starring. You said directed by Charles Stone III.
And then I just
So
said...
there's about 9 directors in this film.
Well, they did it. It's a mishmash of a film. That's who stars. You know? So, I missed that word.
You were so focusing on getting her surname right.
I jumped ahead to be like, how do I pronounce this?
It is a rough surname. You did well. How are you, mate?
Good. How are you?
I'm well.
Good day?
I'm very well. Yeah, good day. Sun's shining. It's nearly Christmas.
It's just beautiful
The
outside.
Flicks Forum gift to our fans for Christmas this year is an episode every day for December, and we are delivering in spades.
Been keeping an eye out in our episodes too to see if there's been any Christmas references.
Yeah.
And I've been struggling
That's
to
right,
make
we had a
any.
bet.
We did have a bet. I've been struggling to make any connections.
That's true. So this will be the 3rd episode since we made that bet.
You're looking the good so far.
Not bad. And we're still got plenty to go.
We do. But today we are looking at Stepsisters. So we kick off our show with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick summary of the film. MJ, give us your summary.
Alright, so you take a dollop of Bring It On and a pinch of Pitch Perfect, and you've got the premise for Stepsisters, all around the competitive world of step dancing in the college sorority setting, although they may have left it in the oven a little bit too long. That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't say anything.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
You stared at me.
Yeah, sorry. That was an awkward stare. I just wanted to look into your eyes. Just to see, trying to predict where you're going to go with this one. I've said a black girl needs to teach white girls how to step so she can get a recommendation to college.
If you have no context around like the world of step dancing, and you say a black girl needs to teach white girls how to step, you're like, what the hell is this movie about?
True. Step.
So when you bump into your mates at the pub and they're like, oi, Stepsisters, what's it about? That's what you say?
Yep.
Alright, cool. You wouldn't say, take a dollop of Bring It On and a pinch of Pitch Perfect. You wouldn't go down that route?
Nah, because they'd probably be like, I'm not going to watch it anyway. So at least give them some sort of...
No, yeah, you're talking about a particular type of mate that won't watch it. There might be someone.
True. All right, well, what do we know about this film? Stepsisters, 2018. What's some info that we've found about it?
Yeah, well, so this film did a little bit of a runaround from production perspective. So it was basically cast back in May 2016.
Yep.
And Broad Green Pictures was their production company that had planned for a late May theatrical release.
2017.
Sorry, late
March 2017.
March 31, 2017 was when it was supposed to release. But in August in 2016, they basically said they were shutting their production division, and about 50 of their development projects were just kicked back to the filmmakers to be set up somewhere else. So that's kind of when the negotiations started with Netflix, and there was a bit of a bidding war between a whole bunch of production studios for the distribution rights. And the film initially was titled Ain't No Half Steppin'. And then
Sure was. Ain't no half stepping.
And then eventually it was picked up by Netflix. They basically launched it in January 2018. They struck a deal, and that was that.
Yeah, and so the tagline for this film was "Stomp it like it's hot." Ugh. What a tagline for a film! Doesn't that just want to entice you? Like, let's stomp it like it's hot.
Well, it's kind of bang on with what the film's trying to say. It did have a $10 million budget because obviously this was going to have a theatrical release. It was obviously produced in that world where the budgets are disclosed.
Yep.
So $10 million budget.
What are some films? Give me some films that are similar.
This is bang in the hitting zone for horror films.
Okay.
So this $10 million budget is what you get for not a bad horror film. So we've got Halloween, the 2018 version of Halloween was $10 million.
Yep.
The most recent version of The Grudge, which I think is like 2004 when I say most recent.
Sure.
Don't Breathe, which is not a bad movie. Saw 3, Saw 4, more recently Hereditary.
Yeah.
All $10 million.
$10 million.
Some of the better dramatic films. Good Will Hunting was done on $10 million. Long time ago.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, Love, Simon.
Yeah, I saw Love Simon.
Yeah, very good film.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. The Mighty Ducks was $10 million.
The original Mighty Ducks.
And
or
would you
Champions.
believe it?
Champions is as it's called. Or
renamed to the Mighty Ducks. It was initially called
it's called Champions, yeah. Sorry.
And would you believe that Bring It On was $10 million?
Okay.
So they
good context
really
there.
copied that.
Very good context.
Yeah. I struggled to find much more about this film. What have you got?
Just there was a bit of there's a little bit of a Twitter storm when they dropped the trailer for this film.
Right.
So I think they dropped the trailer on Netflix like 2 weeks before, and there was some accusations of this film being a little bit regressive, and in that it sort of made the black protagonist the help, and
just from looking at the trailer.
And supposedly encouraging this cultural appropriation. So it copped a lot of whack online before it had even been seen. So the director and the writers sort of came out and said, look, you need to actually see the film before you make comment. And I sort of picked up, so, when you jump online and you Google search the film, and down the right-hand side, this one had a couple of like Google reviews.
Right.
So there's this person, I won't give their surname, but I think her name's Valine.
Right.
So this was from February 2019.
Yep.
And these are her comments on the film. She said, I think it was a great movie. It was a great way to learn step and a way to work with other people. It's fun, it's interesting, and it's funny, which is why this is one of the best movies I've ever seen, and I would spend time just to watch it again. So just a bit of a context on what comes up when you search this.
In fairness, Valine hasn't made too many incorrect calls there. It certainly is about teamwork. And not that I looked that closely, because it's not something that I'm that interested in, but I reckon it would definitely help you learn step.
Yeah, there's a few words in there that I struggled with, like words
grammatically it doesn't.
Oh, grammatically, and just words such as fun and interesting. I thought they were a little bit off-putting, but yeah, sure.
I saw a review on IMDb, and they have the worst reviews on like the ones that are on the page.
Yeah,
and I didn't read the review, but the headline was like, was this a bad movie? Definitely not. No. Was this a good movie? No. Was it a bad movie? Definitely not. And that was like the headline.
Oh wow. Well, so this came out January 2018, Netflix.
Yeah.
It's filmed in Atlanta, Georgia. Consensus. What have you got? I'm intrigued. This one, I want to hear what you've got for the consensus.
The consensus was not as bad as maybe I thought it might have been, to be honest. It's a 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yep.
3,500 ratings. A 2.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd for 1,600 ratings.
2.4 on Letterboxd isn't too bad.
Look, yeah, these aren't good scores, obviously. If you give something less than a 2.5 stars, you don't love the movie.
Yeah.
But when you flick through the reviews on Letterboxd, man, they can it. Like,
I didn't read any of them.
Didn't you?
Nah.
I always have a little bit of a skim, and like the first 30 that I saw were all like 1.5 stars or less.
Okay.
So it didn't.
So Rotten Tomatoes didn't have a consensus because it only had 9 reviews.
Okay.
22% for the critics. Audience only had 163 ratings. It was at 47%, so quite a bit higher than the critics.
Yeah.
Still very rotten.
It was a bit of a battler, wasn't it?
All right, what are your early thoughts on this then, if we're talking about battling?
I must confess, this is the second time I've seen this film. I actually, when I used to work in media advertising, we did have some preview screenings for films that may have had theatrical release if we had to do the advertising campaign for them. And this fell under our remit for a little bit that never ended up eventuating. So I did watch it at a pre-screening there. And I actually preferred the second watch.
Okay.
Because I really wasn't looking forward to revisiting this one. Actually, when I saw it, it was called 8.5 Steppin'. So when I saw it on the on our list of stepsisters, it didn't ring a bell. With that said, it didn't do much for me. I think the acting is really ordinary. I think the chemistry is nearly just as bad. The film is insanely long, like 30 minutes too long. Like, it's just under 2 hours, and it doesn't even need to be an hour and a half. So, I can appreciate the race discussions that they're trying to have, but there's no subtlety to them either. It's basically smack bang in your face what we're trying to say. What did you think?
So when we were talking about the budget, I was trying to bite my tongue because you're like, this fits really well with the horror genre. I was like, this was a horror to watch. I was like, I need to hold this out because this was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
This was real bad. Like, I'm so confused as to what the message they were trying to get across was. You know, the characters didn't develop at all, and this has some of the worst lines of dialogue I've seen on screen.
Not helped by the fact that the acting, like, literally feels like they're reading the lines half the time.
In my notes, as I was watching this film, after... I think I had it about 10 times, and I wrote, fuck me, fuck me. I just couldn't deal. So that's where I'm coming into this one.
We should let you know that we are going to plan on spoiling the film, so this is our spoiler alert.
Let's be honest, like, you probably don't want to watch this, so just listen to it.
I was just going to say, if Jesse hasn't turned you off the film, we also need to say that this is absolutely not aimed at us.
Sure.
We are both...
Yeah, true.
30-year-old males. I don't think this film is aimed at us. So if you think this film's up your alley, I plan on being a little bit more objective than Jesse and talking through.
I'm very
things.
objective.
No,
I'll give you reasons why I don't like things.
No, I'm just saying that if you do want to watch it and then listen to us, it's still I'm Jesse. I'm going to make sure we have a very good discussion about this film.
Good, yeah, of course,
because our fans want to hear it.
Sure. I'm sure they want to hear all about this film. So let's start off by informing them of these really well-developed.
No. We're not lying
characters.
about it. I'm just saying. We're not.
Sorry.
This is not just the shit canning though. We're gonna go through and talk about what worked and what didn't.
Okay. Start with the characters.
All right. With Jamila, this was probably this is probably one of the biggest issues with the film. Is that so? This is the main character. In fact, she's in 95% of the scenes.
Yep, definitely.
So this film is all about Jamila. And I don't think I ever really got to a point of liking her.
Exactly.
She was deliberately hard work early on because of the growth she was supposed to have. But her arrogance just never really stopped bothering me.
Yep. She was selfish. She only wanted things for herself. And
that's selfish.
In the same... Yeah, good. Define the word. Plus, this whole idea as well as being indecisive. So she's selfish but doesn't know exactly what she wants. There's nothing worse in a character than them being, I want this, but then not actually wanting it.
Yeah, it comes down to that arrogance, misplaced arrogance. I really didn't like her being so flirty with Kevin when she had a boyfriend, and we'd never really been set up that this boyfriend was a bad dude at that point.
No.
Probably wasn't right for her, and that's fair enough, but she got real, like, flirty and almost cheaty really early on.
Yeah,
like,
straight away.
We hadn't even been set up they were having an issue as a couple. So I didn't like that at all. And that was at the point where I'm like, oh, yeah, I really don't like this character. Like, full stop, I don't like her. So I thought her acting was really, really poor. As I said before, she was literally reading every single line that she had. And there were times where she was supposed to be dropping like a really big line or providing some light humor with a line, and she just misfired every single time. And it goes to your point as well that the dialogue she was working with was pretty ordinary.
Yes.
But sometimes I was just like, oh, this is terribly jarring.
Couldn't agree more.
Not a great start from Jamila.
So I had Dane, the boyfriend that you spoke of that she cheated on.
Dane,
pretty much. Yep. Yeah, Dane. And this is really tricky with this movie because it's literally like white cast, black cast. And he's obviously typecast as this white guy who is accepting of black culture and black history, and, you know, he makes a big deal about, I've got this understanding. Too far. So for me, he's book smart, but he just...
Sorry, when I say too far, I don't mean there's a too far. To the point where he's almost like racist towards white people.
Yeah, and so to me he's book smart, but he's stupid.
Yeah. He was a parody of a studious boyfriend who wishes he was black.
Yep.
I actually thought it was a decent performance by Matt McGorry.
Yep.
And I found him generally quite funny.
Okay. I didn't find anything in this film.
No, I imagine we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
Whilst we're talking about boyfriends, let's just go straight to Kevin, even though he probably isn't the next best character to talk to.
Yep.
But if Dane was a parody of this studious boyfriend, Kevin was a parody of Mr. Perfect. This guy doesn't exist.
Yeah, the words I had for Kevin was collateral damage.
In what?
Just in everything. He was collateral damage just to his sister, to his girlfriend, just nothing. He was just there to make them try and look good. I don't know. Maybe it's not the right sort of term, but to me, I don't know. I just couldn't deal with him.
Didn't like him?
No.
He's a likable guy.
Really?
It was like too far. That's the thing. It wasn't real.
It's not real.
It was a parody.
And none of these characters to me were real.
That's not a bad call, actually.
Like, it's not just him. It's like a lot of them. So the other one I had, which was this Dean Berman, the guy from the school. Like, he was meant to be this stereotype, but he just was not funny. He was just... He was meant to be... he was an adult compared to the rest of them, I guess. Even though they all probably look similar sorts of...
Sure.
Not that... he's not that far off him, but he was just... He was meant to be like this responsible adult, and he was just kind of gross.
He's a dean, right? And he's like super respectable. He's obviously graduated from Harvard. This guy is, he's a mover and shaker, and he was just an idiot. Like, I can understand like trying to provide a bit of comic relief, but does it work with the dean? Like, maybe that's what's supposed to make it even funnier because the dean's like this, or
maybe
that character didn't work either.
Okay. Have you got any others you want to talk about?
I got 3 others, Jesse.
Okay, go for it.
Have you got them?
Maybe.
I got Beth.
Yeah, I got Beth.
So for a likable character who, in an ideal world, she's used, and you're not going to find her funny, but she's used as comedy relief. Her role was way too big for that character.
Yeah.
So I don't know who she is. I don't know what she studies. I don't know what her life is outside of the sorority. But she had like really important parts in a lot of this film. She was the glue that held Jamila
to the calls, I guess.
Yeah, with everything. But when she gets introduced, she's just like, she's just going to pop up here and there and be funny. But no, she's the one that's bloody collecting the trophy at the end, and she's the one that's there all along, and she's the one that probably hurts the most when Jamila screws him over. But we don't know anything about her. We don't flesh this character out. This movie is 2 hours, and we only know anything about one character.
And I'll talk about that later, but a lot of the issues I had was you've got this cast of characters around Jamila, and you don't these maybe one little thing about them, and it doesn't go any further.
Well, that's it. And you know what? And this brings me to Amber, who was the
before you go to Amber, I just had Beth. All I had for her was crazy hypo white girl.
But that's and you know what? Fine for a comic relief pop up here and there. But But that's all I knew about her was that she was this crazy hypo girl. That's it. Yeah. And so that works. That works if you're doing just a pop up role. But she was too important.
Yep.
And with Amber, you mentioned about stereotypes. In the end of the day, Amber was the one with the white hair, the peroxide hair.
Amber's the one that works at the strip joint. Yep.
So she ended up just being a stereotype of this tough, almost like white trash kind of girl.
Yep.
When she could have been so much more. Like they attempt to dig a little bit deeper into her story and her struggles when you find that she's working as a stripper, and then they do nothing with it. It almost makes me feel like she's just there to show Jamila that white girls struggle too. And if that's the case, I really hope that I'm wrong. Like, I hope that's not what it was.
Why else do you have that scene?
Why else do you have that? Because
you cut that because you don't go any further into many of the other characters and what they do outside of their
and you don't even have a resolution on it.
No, so why do you need to pick out of they spend all this time with these hashtags and ats and all these characters. Why just pick this one to go with?
Such a shame.
Yep.
Because that could have gone somewhere.
Could have. But you needed that. You either needed to spend the same amount of time on each of the characters, and it's a 2 hour film, so there's no reason why they couldn't have had one little scene for each of them, or you just cut that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
But maybe they're like, this works really well, and it's like, it does, but it needs a bit more help.
You got to talk about Danny.
Yeah, I've got Danny as well. So she floated really effortlessly through being like Queen Bee to just like a follower, and then from like a bitch to like a really nice girl, and the whole relationship with her brother never felt real. I guess it was supposed to be funny as well.
It wasn't.
I've got this black brother. Yeah. It's like, what? Okay, cool. And she's like, he's my best friend. I'd do anything for him. It's like, I didn't get that vibe at all from you. Like, you guys never even hung out. So
that's the issue. None of them are developed.
Nah, none of them are.
Nah. Yep. Good.
And the one that they try to develop isn't developed well and isn't likable.
Chandra?
No. Jamila.
Okay. I had issues with Chandra as well.
Chandra.
Chandra's the one black girl in the white sorority, and she's always put in these awkward situations because she's that one black girl in the group. Yeah, I don't know.
They could have used her.
They could have used her so well.
As like, I'm the one person who doesn't see colour. I'm the one person who's doing what I want to do.
Exactly.
And they use her as, they call her, Black Barbie or something at the start.
And it's like, she's being accepted by all these people. Like, why are we making this big deal about these two different sororities when you've got...
She doesn't give a shit about what people think.
And the people in the group don't give a shit about her.
Yeah, exactly right.
She's just one of them. She's there with them.
At the end, they make her sort of stand on a pedestal because of what she's done. When she sort of has that dig at Jamila.
Yeah.
Like, she stands on a pedestal. It's like, you know what? You could have been standing on this pedestal all along. But you're made into this real bitchy sort of character.
Have you got any other characters?
No, I don't. We've powered through like 8 or 9 there.
Yeah, all right. The director, Charles Stone III.
I don't know much.
Don't know much?
No.
So this sort of relates back to my my IMDb from yesterday.
Okay.
He directed Uncle Drew.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So he directed Uncle Drew, and he's done a lot of TV as well.
Okay.
I think he had 21 directing credits altogether.
Okay.
Including like an episode of Friday Night Lights.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so Uncle Drew, he directed Uncle
Jeez, Friday Night Lights is so different to this.
Drew. Yeah. All right. Should we talk about some scenes?
Yeah, we should. I've seen this film before.
Yes.
And I had
feel
such low expectations.
Yep.
So there's a few things here that I didn't mind. That when I was watching it, watching it the second time, I'm like, it actually wasn't as bad the second time.
Okay,
So
good. Fill us in.
There'll be a few things
looking
here.
forward to it.
Really early on, I laughed when Dane was tucking his napkin into his shirt when they were eating dinner. Just
wow, I didn't even. Okay, yeah, good pickup.
so the parents came over for dinner
yeah.
and they're all eating, and he tucked his napkin in. But again, I think because I already knew that character, seeing that
good white boy with manners. Good. All right. What else?
You're gonna hate this one.
Okay.
This one I still think is funny. When Jamila is teaching the SBBs how to step initially, and she says to them, in order to create a beat, everyone has to be in sync. And then off to the side of the camera, and you hear it like really sincerely, one of the girls goes, like our periods.
Yeah, I had that in the lines of dialogue. That pause, and you're like, I know what they're gonna say here.
You have to be in sync. Like our periods.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
It was obvious, so to me, I didn't laugh.
Oh, maybe I didn't. Yeah, I didn't see it coming.
Yep.
I kind of liked Kevin's charisma. Like, as soon as he sort of came in, despite him not being a real person, when he was in the timber yard, I know I didn't like the whole flirty stuff, but like everyone was kind of such a downer in this film.
What about the first? You see him organise the fridge for them with all their skinny drinks.
No, I think he organised I don't think he organised the contents.
No, he organised the shelving.
Yeah.
Still.
But just when he was sitting there, I guess you're just what I needed. Like, I kind of like, everyone was so in such a sulky mood in that whole film, and he was kind of a breath of fresh air for me.
Oh, very nice.
This is my favourite scene in the film. When Jamila gets the male fraternity to help out.
The guys in the purple outfits.
To find their voice and gusto. This direct quote, you need to make their ass hair stand up. Their ass hair. Their ass hair stand up. I really
good impersonation, not bad.
I really liked the way he just kept saying ass. Like, I thought it was really good. And then later on,
I laughed more at that than
not from the back of your throat, from the bottom of your ass. I thought that was really good too.
Okay.
There was a point during that scene I was like, is this film turning me around? Do I like this
How much
film?
do you remember from this film?
I did. I did remember quite a bit.
Yeah.
I did remember also it being really long as well, because like after they finished the charity step, there's still an hour to go. There's the line from Dane when he says, "Black people can't be racist to white people." I thought that was pretty funny.
Okay.
And then she says, "Don't ever say that again." But just like, you are such an idiot.
Perfect word for him, idiot.
It's kind of funny that he actually went out when they actually said that line.
Yeah, good.
I'm going to get a little bit more serious now.
I like a bit of seriousness.
This film is trying to be about this full stop. When Jamila tells Aisha that races can't own things. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that scene where she goes and says goodbye to Aisha, and then she doesn't necessarily plan on figuring all that kind of stuff out. It just comes out in conversation. And when she says races can't own things, it's like, yeah, absolutely not. Like, how can no one in this movie see that? So,
yeah.
As I said, this stuff was really in your face. There was nothing subtle about it. And call me a sucker, but I liked their final dance. Didn't like any other dancing or stepping scenes in the film, but I liked their final one. Similar to like at the end of Pitch Perfect and Bring It On when they come home and get it done.
Those last couple of dances dragged.
They did.
Yeah.
Whew. They played
dragged. All right.
For a long time. Do I even have to ask you what you liked?
Yeah, nothing. So what didn't you like?
My voice is getting tired, so I think you've got a big list.
So I do. All right, I'm gonna a couple of things. So at the start, they mentioned Stomp the Ground, which is a film, obviously, and they go Chris Brown dies. Where was the spoiler alert? You can't spoil another film in opening.
Stomp the Yard or Stomp the
Stomp the Yard. Sorry, yeah, Stomp the Yard. Yeah. How can it just annoyed me that they spoiled a film in the first few seconds of their own movie.
Okay, yeah.
So to me, I was like straight away, this movie's not going to go down well.
Yeah, okay. Maybe they really want the Stomp the Yard audience. So
Maybe
they already know about it.
They already know about it. Maybe.
If you haven't seen Stomp the Yard, don't waste your time with Stepsisters.
I'm not going to watch it. I might have had that on my list to watch, but I'm not going to watch that now.
I didn't know Chris Brown was an actor.
Don't know either. Didn't know that. All right. Text messages on the screen. I have issues with this in films.
You do.
And as soon as I saw that at the start, I was like, that's got me too. Annoyed me straight away. I was disappointed.
You got bigger fish to fry
Lazy.
than text messages, don't you?
Oh, I sure do. Don't worry. So I wrote 8 minutes in. We had a white guy apologizing for his crimes against blacks. We had blacks who hated Michelle Obama.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a gay dean at the school. I was like, they have ticked every diversity box that they needed to for this film in the first 8 minutes.
What, blacks that hate Michelle Obama? That's a small group.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just going on what this film was saying. So to me, I was like, okay, you've ticked all the boxes now. Let's give us the movie.
Okay.
And I just started listing all the dialogue that I couldn't stand.
Okay, this will be fun.
So I've got a list here. This is a list of dialogue that I was like, I did not like that line.
Yep.
So, Dane. This is in his text message. He goes, I am making the dopest dinner, my queen. You are the ebony to my ivory. Fleek. And then he goes, your ancestors fought for your education. Honor their struggle. So that's just a little bit of a sample of his dialogue, including when he meets the dean, he goes, you're a brave soldier for intolerance. Horrible dialogue. That should not be said out loud.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff he says, you're right.
Jamila,
I still find him funny.
When the parents rock up at the house, isn't this a great surprise? Just like Pearl Harbor.
That wasn't the worst.
Oh, come on. That's really sloppy writing.
Yeah.
Sloppy. Like, is that meant... Did you laugh?
I think I did a little bit on that one.
Okay, all right.
I thought it was not bad.
Damn it. All right. Jamila's dad. We love Dane like a little rescue puppy. Okay, bloody hell. All right, maybe I'm just not...
No, I didn't like the film, and now you're doing a good job.
Dean Berman, he talks about when him and his partner have sex outdoors. And then he goes, home is where the Harvard is. Oh, I just came up with that one myself.
He didn't work for me. But then.
Gross. Beth, I used weed and Grand Theft Auto to calm me down. And then follow through. Are you going to come get white girl wasted with us? Like, just all these little lines that are gross. Danny.
They're bad writing, but it's really bad delivery as well.
Yeah.
They do it such a bad job.
Bad way. Like, Danny, she's referred to as the skimmy King Jong.
Oh,
yeah, right, and I was like, oh, not quite nice. And he goes, oh, where's my own slice of Wonder Bread? And, I need a place where, Libby could fly a Confederate flag, because they make this joke about Libby being like from the South. And, Kevin, my brother Kevin, hasn't been this upset since they cancelled Star Trek Voyager.
So you're annoyed that this is just sloppy writing. It's not offensive writing. Right?
No.
Okay, good. No, because some of this stuff can work in comedies, right?
Yeah, they kept mentioning white people as Becky's. Like, I get they mention it multiple times.
Yeah, as long as if you have a film with Jonah Hill talking about calling someone a skinny Kim Jong, that can be
probably delivers it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Yeah. You can see it as funny. Like, it does work. It's not. I'm just checking that you're not offended by this stuff, because we've got such a PC world now with comedies, and they need to have something. But as long as I agree, some of the writing is poor, some of the delivery is poor. I get that.
Maybe the writing and the delivery makes it offensive.
Makes it more jarring.
When Kevin's the reason that Jamila's broken up with her boyfriend, and he goes, "Did you send your white Malcolm X packing?" I'm like, why compare Malcolm X, who's one of the the biggest standers up for civil rights, to getting rid of your white boyfriend? I was like, the comparisons don't work. Like, if you're gonna make a joke about Malcolm X, you need to make it like to me that is offensive.
Okay, but he kind of is a bit like that, Dane.
Like Jamila,
wants to be.
Like Jamila even says, like at the end to Dane, she goes, "Don't worry, you're still my nigger."
And he's like, "That's the best thing you could have ever said to me," or something.
Yeah, like that. That's not how people talk.
No, it's definitely not.
It's not how people talk.
No,
Like,
it's definitely.
and that's why these.
It's real sitcom-y kind of.
They're not relatable at all.
No, you're right.
And there was this little joke about, you're the help, like as in the movie The Help. The Help was like,
not so much the movie, just the
also
term.
the term, like you're the help, like, and then they make reference to use the dean to prove how black you are. Like just the little things that just didn't sit right with me, and I guess that's why I just couldn't feel this film.
No, you pretty much bang on. Like a lot of those lines, and there were so many things in the film I was like, oh, that didn't work. Not that I was ever offended by it, because as I sort of said, I do hate the fact that comedy films are, I don't know, there's got to be some sort of license for us to have a laugh, and we can take the piss at politics and
definitely.
race to an extent. Like none of them are overtly bad, but I agree. The writing was generally sloppy. The delivery was just as bad, and that's a recipe for disaster.
So you mentioned before that the syncing of the periods. I didn't like that. I didn't like all those hashtag introductions with like the Black Barbie and the tough
I honestly wasn't even like reading it.
I literally paused and wrote down every hashtag just so I could look back at it. And I looked back and I was like, gross. Really gross. Yeah. Really bad. Like, I guess maybe that was their attempt at developing these characters or giving the audience an idea about what they're about. And to me, a quick little flash with some text on the screen doesn't do that.
Value,
yeah. One scene that really annoyed me. Sorry, I'll get into... These are a couple of scenes now. Jamila rocks up at the sorority, gets her big PA mic out, and yells out, everyone wake up, we're coming down to do some training. Then your first dance, and they all do this horrible, like, twerking and all these white girl dances. Yep. And then she gets frustrated with it, and she goes, "Oh, I think we better call it a night. That went way too long. You just woke them up, and now you're calling it." I was like, "Duh!"
She also only got half of them to do it. She's like, "All right, split in half. You guys dance. I want to see what I'm working with." And then she never got the other half to do it.
No. Anyway. I thought the scene with Jamila and Kevin building that stage was awkward as. So they went to the timber store, and then it's like all these and then he's like holding her awkwardly, she still had the boyfriend.
I know. The whole time she just has a boyfriend.
And then they have this dialogue where they quote their emails, or like they pretend that these joke emails about two big balls at forreal.com.
Yeah, that didn't work.
And then her reply is two micro balls at in your dreams. Sorry.
No, I agree. That was bad.
I didn't like, again, there's a scene where she's in bed and she's texting and all the texts are coming in on the screen.
I was thinking that you wouldn't like that.
And then she ends up texting her boyfriend the message she's sending to... And then the dean's texting. Everyone's just messaging.
And then the boyfriend thinks that they're role playing.
But
you know what that did? It did make you feel flustered. So they did that right. So.
You like those guys in the purple suits that came in with their training? I didn't mind it, but I didn't like when they like get him to yell, and he's like, yell chicken tenders, yell honey boo boo,
chicken tenders,
Hello Kitty. I'm like,
I did like it when they said from the bottom of your ass.
Didn't like the story about Amber being a stripper. I just thought that wasn't needed. We spoke about that.
Could have been great.
And didn't like the zombie rave.
That was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was weird.
Especially when the kiss...
they showed it earlier, obviously reading the Walking Dead comic.
But they show her watching the monster movie at home as well. Which is cool. I like that she's like a monster fan.
Yeah. And the last thing I didn't like was where she runs to Kevin's house and is bucketing down rain. Like, of course it's raining. And he literally just says, "Oh, go find some footballer." And then 2 seconds later, he just runs out. He's like...
brand. Like, you haven't set this guy up to say that at all. He's like the most happy-go-lucky guy. He'd probably just jump down and be like, "Yay!"
Yeah.
I had an issue with the rain in that scene.
Too heavy?
No, it was too fake. Like, when he comes down, he's not even wet. Like, I'm all for a scene with rain. I love what rain can represent in a film.
Yep. I love water as well. Water's great.
But this is just like they got iMovie and clicked the rain feature, and there it is. And then they didn't make him wet. Like, that was terrible.
Sorry, I've probably gone through half the film there. Is there anything that you didn't...
There's actually quite a few scenes that I had that you didn't.
Oh, good. Fill us in. You don't need to watch this movie, people. You just listen to us rant.
The opening dance scene and then that first conversation they have about their sorority with Beth. So Beth comes across. Yep. Was just no chemistry. No chemistry between anyone in that scene. And that exact same main three people have the exact same conversation when they're running and she steps in the dog poo. It's seriously
true.
like, this is the first take. We just want to get the lines out, and it was just woeful. And they just like, yep, cool. We got it. No worries. The next scene, like, it was so bad. No chemistry in those dialogue scene at all. And then right after that scene, she's like, all right, well, we should keep running or our Fitbits will be judging us. Like,
Yeah. Oh.
and again, it's
I had
like,
to cut my list down.
in her head, she's like, my line is this. I need to read this
Repeat
line.
it, yeah.
Like, it was just terrible. When the girl from I can't remember, Theta, Beta, whatever the black sorority was.
Yep.
She goes, somebody tweeted, SBB stands for Skanky Broody Broads.
Yeah.
It was me. And they all start laughing. I was like, oh, who's this film aimed at? Because it's not like,
funny,
unless
yeah.
it's like an 8-year-old girl. Kind of, whilst I didn't mind the bar scene when they're all sort of saying good things about each other, and this is why we put you in our sorority. They have no shot of winning that thing. So for her to try and pump them up by saying, you can win 100 grand by doing this, it's like, no, you can't. Like, these people have been doing this for a long time, and you're trying to expect, like, you know what, we can win it, when we just got completely embarrassed. Not to mention, 100 grand.
It's a lot of money.
That up. Wow.
It was at the United Airlines Center, I think.
Yeah,
The
it
big
was.
setup,
in Chicago.
Yeah.
The rain scene with Kevin.
The rain.
And then at the final, the Steptacular, the guy on the microphone says, and that is how they make the Steptacular every single year. Do you have to make the Steptacular, or do you just have to register? Because how the hell did the SPBs make it?
These guys just got straight in, didn't
they?
they?
Just like ours. And the final thing I hated was the SPBs are really got to drop that koala shit, because that just doesn't work when you're trying to rap or dance or sing and go, koala!
And that announcer at the thing, I think he said, like, you know, oh, here come our white girls with a chocolate twist. I was like, oh.
That's all I've got. Like, there was a lot of...
I think we've...
Yeah, wow, we actually have. I just looked at
No concerns there. So, what's this movie trying to say? What are some themes in this?
Well, it's kind of about race equality and what belongs to whom and why things shouldn't belong to races and blurring the lines between black and white. But I think everything they're trying to say, they literally probably say in a line of dialogue at some point.
And I feel like when you're trying to do a mess, they've stuffed it up. They could have had this really meaningful film that did it properly, but to me, they totally failed.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I didn't even put that down as a theme, because to me, it just wasn't a theme. It was just barking at your face.
It was, yeah. It was part of the plot, really.
Yep. There wasn't underlying at all. There wasn't any...
No, it wasn't.
No.
Oh, look,
it was very explicit. There was no implicity about it whatsoever.
The other thing is obviously being true to yourself and figuring out what you want to do with your life, and not what you think you should be doing, which is obviously how Jamila led her life initially. And then by the end of it, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, and I'm so excited. I've never thought like that before. Yep. Again, it's very similar to what you just said. Yeah,
they're trying to build, like, show that you can build your own legacy. But they didn't really do a good job with the parents in doing that either. Because it was like, you know, the parents are happy to put her down, and then they're just happy at the end. She actually did what she wanted. So we're happy to promote you to Harvard now.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want to go to Harvard.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Now, I guess Jamila had this high standard as well. She always wanted to do everything, you know, with perfection almost. And I guess they sort of tried to show this too, where towards the end she's driving off back to wherever she's, Philadelphia, I think she's going, and then the really bad Siri does the voice read text in the car, and it was like hashtag weak people quit or something.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, you know, she had to be like, no, I'm not weak. I've got strong standards. I need to go back.
And this is also after she had that conversation with Aisha, though, where she realised, like, races can't own things.
But then she did get in the car to go.
No, I know, but there was a culmination of everything. It wasn't just the hashtag that got her to turn around.
I would have rather her just had that conversation and stayed there and
turn
around, rather than get in the car. She's trying to share this culture and awareness of culture as well. And teamwork too. Like, they tried to pump this up, like, you know, you work as a team, you're going to do well through, you know, your community service. There's no better feeling than helping those in need.
That was quite explicit, but when she was basically just like, you guys just, like, never work as a team. You always talk shit about each other, and when they finally did, then it's a pretty good dance at the end.
Yeah. But two movies in a row where the results have been rigged in a competition.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday we did our Polka King, and the results were rigged in the pageant, and then today
that kind of bothered me as well. Like, was there anything about Aisha who would have been like, we never saw any part of her character that would have been like, you know what? No, they should have won. And secondly, as if the guy's like, hey, we rigged the score so they wouldn't win.
Yeah, we rigged it because we want to keep stomping to us.
Yeah.
Like, stomping, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, stomp the yard or... Yeah. All right. What do we take from this film?
It just really didn't work, and I don't know who this film is for.
Yep.
Because some of the attempted humour might appeal to like a really young female audience, but then they sort of discuss some just more the content than anything else. It probably
There's a lot of drinking. There's a lot of sexual references.
Sex,
yeah, definitely.
So I don't know who watches this film. It's probably a good thing that it never released theatrically because it would have bombed at the box office, I reckon.
I'd say so too, in Australia in particular, anyway. Like,
Sure.
definitely.
Yeah,
like,
it did have a bit of it because it's obviously got the college, the Greek system, and all that kind of lifestyle that we're not au fait with in Australia.
Yeah, the dialogue in this to me was, as I probably ranted a little bit before, that probably threw me the most.
Yeah, it seemed to.
Yeah. IMDb. Did you jump on IMDb to check anyone out in this film?
I did. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I think it's Marque Richardson.
Yep.
Marque Richardson, who plays Kevin. He's really familiar face. He's in 11 episodes of True Blood, and I'm a big fan of True Blood, so I have to think that's where I've seen him from. I don't necessarily remember the character or him being in True Blood, but I think that's why I recognise him. Other than that, he was in one episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. These are just things that I would have seen him in, but I think it must be True Blood that I recognise him. Really familiar face.
Cool.
You?
I didn't use IMDb, but I Googled the band The Cars because there was this big connection throughout about Kevin's favourite bands, The Cars.
What I needed.
Yeah. So I knew they got one song I actually knew, which was Drive.
Don't you know Just What I Needed?
I listened to that as well. I was like, nah, I don't, yeah. So, yeah.
It's a good song.
I listened to a couple of songs and I was like, yep, I know Drive, and that was about it. Yeah.
I didn't IMDb her, but Naturi Naughton, who is who I'm a fan of, plays Aisha, and she's terrible in this film.
Yeah.
She is in Fame, the remake of Fame from probably like 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
She has a killer singing voice, which she showcases a little bit in this film.
Yeah.
She has got an awesome singing voice.
All right. Have you got any questions you want to ask?
I've got a couple.
Yeah.
It's about the film, living inside the film. Why is everyone so annoyed that they gave white people stepping, but the black fraternity who helped them out, no one seemed to care that they were helping them out, and they didn't seem to care.
Guys in the purple
outfits, they were just like, yeah, we'll help these girls. So why didn't they care? Everyone else.
Good question. Very good question. I don't know. Yeah, I had a similar sort of thing. I was like, did the multiple mentions of this, stealing from the black culture, like make you feel a little bit awkward at times? Because I was like, why can't everyone just get along? Isn't that the idea? Is that you want everyone to get along, everyone to share and be a community, and you all go to the same college. Why can't we all just get along? Like, why do we still need these lines that apparently like exist?
Especially race lines.
For a movie that came out in 2018, I thought that you'd try to promote more of a community that is more gets along.
It's badly timed, but I guess it's almost saying that these issues, whether they're as prevalent and obvious as they are in the film, they still do exist, especially with our young people, which we've all been brought up in a world now where racism is absurd and no one can control. Like it's funny, like you can't control what race you are. I was watching Big Mouth the other day, and there's a line where the hormone monster's talking about gay people. He's like, "Oh, being gay is a choice. Let him make that choice." Like it's obviously just a massive joke. Like we think about like gay. I've just gone completely. What's the word if you don't like gay people? Homophobics and racist people. If you've grown up in the last 30 years. There's no way that you should think those things are all right because we learn in our society how wrong and ridiculous those things are. And I think in a sense, whilst this is an explicit way of telling it, these issues still exist, and it's almost like saying, how stupid is this? Maybe everything that you thought stupid about the film is exactly what you're supposed to think, because you're supposed to be like, this doesn't make sense. It's like, no, it doesn't. So people need to get on board.
Maybe.
I think I'm giving them a bit of credit.
Giving them a lot of credit. I like this idea that there is no such thing as race because there's only one race, and that's humanity. Mm-hmm. So it shouldn't matter. We're all humans. So this type of behavior shouldn't exist because we should all just be like, yeah, we're human. So let's do things together rather than be like, yeah.
I think that's kind of what he was probably trying to say. But then I guess your argument is you don't even need to make a film about it in the first place.
No. Yeah. And if that is what they were trying to say, they didn't do a very good job.
Yeah. No, they didn't do a very good job with a lot of things.
Do you think that Jamila is a persistent woman, or is she overly ambitious and willing to cut corners to achieve her goals?
I think she's persistent.
Yeah, she's definitely persistent, and I think she was cutting corners. She was trying to take the easy way out by saying, "Hey, I'm
The
not
Harvard thing.
like like surely the most important thing as a kid is to be like, my parents have gone to Harvard. I want them to endorse me. So what do I need to do with my family to prove to them that I'm worthy for that endorsement? Not
So that's interesting though, because the reason that she didn't get that grade point average was because she had so much focus on the sorority, wasn't it? That she's president and she's doing all this other stuff and the stepping. So if that's important to her, then why would she try and change who she is because her parents want a certain thing from her? So it's almost noble in a sense that she
did was right.
But then the dean thing was...
The dean thing was a cop-out.
It was a massive cop-out.
Massive cop-out. Yeah.
And almost, yeah. No, I guess she was so ambitious that she was just, I'd do anything, but it's kind of noble in the sense that... Because it's not like she was like a dropkick and her parents like, you're not good enough to get to Harvard, and she's like, well, this is my other way in.
It's a catch-22.
A little bit, yeah.
All right. Are we ready to wrap this up?
I wanted to ask... good. This doesn't actually work as well because I didn't think you'd hate this film as much as you do. Because I was going to say... I've got my own answer here as well, but... What's the difference between this and Pitch Perfect or Bring It On from a commercially successful standpoint?
It's a good question. So I watched the first two Pitch Perfects quite recently, and it amazed me that Pitch Perfect 2 is the highest grossing musical comedy film of all time. It overtook Jack Black's School of Rock as the highest grossing film, and to me, I don't understand why. Maybe it's because there was that sort of Glee build up at that time where Glee was one of the biggest shows on TV. People really liked the idea of popular songs being reworked a little bit, remixed, put on TV, and then it's like, I've got this opportunity to go to the movies, hear songs that are current as well as songs that are classics that are remade with characters that I can relate to a little bit.
Yep. And
go from there.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head there with the fact that it's songs.
Whereas
this is stepping, dancing, because you can imagine this being pitched as like a Bring It On or a Pitch Perfect.
Yep.
Pitch being the operative word. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But even cheerleading to an extent is known.
Yep.
And people who watch sport will see cheerleading all the time, but cheerleading obviously exists in its own field. Whereas stepping, and I'm showing my ignorance here, but probably just doesn't have the same... mass appeal, or I didn't even know what it was until this. It's like a hardcore tap dancing.
Well, I tried it. I think back to when I was like a teenager, and I have memories. I saw Honey, which starred Jessica Alba.
Yep.
I saw that at the cinemas. It was about 2003, I reckon.
Sure.
Ballpark guess.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched it since, but I have memories in my head. I enjoyed it, and I have no background in the dance culture or anything like that. But I enjoyed that, and I don't know whether that's because Jessica Alba's a star and I relate to that more, and maybe
she wasn't though. Not then. That was her star.
Was that her star?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've memories of enjoying that film, and I haven't gone. And the connection to that too is I bought the CD after that too, and the music in that to me stood out. So maybe that's what this is missing is music that if they had been dancing to songs that I could have connected with and knew, maybe it would have been a.
Because you're bang on about Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
You hear half the songs before you even see the film. You hear these cool a cappella versions of songs, and you're like, "That's just really cool." And then they're like, "Well, I better see the film." And then the characters are pretty funny, and
there's a little bit more to the characters than there are in this film too.
Definitely, Anna Kendrick, for example, is I think I said in our trailer episode one of my favorite actresses. The girl can act, so that helps carry a film too.
All right,
I want to hear. Are we nearly at the time to do ratings? Sorry.
Yep.
I want to hear your rating
first.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to hear my rating?
So we do a rating out of 5 for every single film. We combine our scores and we get our average rating.
Yes,
and
we do.
I would like to hear Jesse's rating.
Okay, I'm ready. So, I think you probably worked out. I struggled.
Yeah.
I struggled massively with this. Pardon the pun, but this was the biggest misstep by Netflix in a while. Haha. Sorry, I laugh at my own jokes. I couldn't connect with any of the characters, because I don't think any of them developed into good people. And to me, I like a film when I see a character that actually changes, has some sort of structure of building going forward, and that didn't happen to me. So if you want a good fraternity film, I'd check out a Netflix film called Burning Sands, which we've covered on this show before.
They actually say the words Burning Sands in this
They
film.
do it right at the start. They're jumping across the burning sand. So I'd highly recommend go back, listen to our episode on that, watch the film. I think I like that a lot more than others on our show.
Yeah.
But I thought that was I thought that was a much better film than this one. I'm giving this 0.5 star out of 5.
I was going to say, if you want to see good fraternity films, there's tons out there. They're
So
all
we're keeping
comedies.
keeping a Netflix. Anyway, 0.5 star. MJ, fill us in.
I didn't like Burning Sands for what it's worth.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, this is a tough watch. The acting is poor and the chemistry is just as bad. Mm-hmm. The only character with depth is largely unlikable, and the others are just stereotypical parodies. Despite the odd laugh and the odd resonant line of dialogue, the film was far too long for what it actually was.
Come on.
1.5 stars.
1.5. All right, so that gives us an average of 1 on this show. About where it should sit.
I think so.
Fair.
Yeah, I think so.
So, question
This was close to a 1 for me. This is very close to a 1.
Yeah, well, I was trying to get it up to 1, and I was like, I can't.
No, I get that. I
couldn't.
get that.
I looked at other films that we've done on this show that I gave a 1, and I was like, this is worse.
It's
than
not
a
quite
1.
there.
It's not quite there.
You've given a 0 before.
I have given a 0, so this is not my worst film. All right, so Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Question today is: do you identify with any of these characters? Because I feel if someone does identify with a character on here, you may like this more than we do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So if you do identify with anyone, let us know.
You know what? People that would identify with certain components of the character.
The character, yeah.
Not
100%.
You couldn't. You just couldn't.
Yep. So we're back again tomorrow.
We are. What have we got? I don't even know what we got tomorrow.
Oh, good excitement! So we're into the 2018s, which is exciting.
We already were. Today was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just continuing that excitement.
Sorry. No, I'm pumped. I'm pumped.
Good. It's a horror film.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Hopefully, not as horrific as this film that we've watched today. The film is called The Open House.
I remember looking at this one. This is a really cool title.
Yeah, it's directed by Matt Angel. It stars Suzanne Coote. Sorry. It's directed by 2 people. It's directed by Matt Angel and Suzanne Coote. It's a joint direction.
Does she star in it as well?
No.
Okay.
It stars Dylan Minetti
Dylan
Minnette from 13 Reasons Why.
Yep.
Goosebumps. It stars Piercy Dalton, Sharif Atkins, Patricia Bethune, and Aaron Abrams. So that's what we're looking at tomorrow. Horror film in the middle of Christmas.
Yeah, I'm all
This
for that.
could be a chance to have like a Christmas decoration in a house somewhere
Oh, okay.
for our Christmas
But
bet.
it's got to be in December. Like the film needs to be based.
Doesn't have to be. That could be January and they haven't put their decorations down.
Okay, it could be that as well.
Sorry,
Could
I
be
know.
that as well.
I'm just picking at straws because I'm getting worried.
Yeah,
I'm getting really worried.
What did we wager? Do we wager?
Don't know.
We'll
We'll think of something. We'll see how we go. So, good chat again.
It was a good chat. We're glad we punched out nearly an hour on Stepsisters.
Really? Oh, wow. That's sad. Well, we'll be back again tomorrow for another hour of awesomeness.
Yes, thank you. And I will see you then.
Bye.
Bye.